Hello and a very warm welcome to an India Today special broadcast. There's a big story we're breaking here on India Today. The country is all set to seal a deal for the proposed procurement of 26 Rafale fighter jets. Of course, these are Rafale Marines. It's the naval variant of the Rafale fighter jets and 3 additional Scorpene submarines for the Indian Navy. The procurement of the Rafale M and the Scorpene submarines is likely to be finalized by January 2025. That's the information that's coming in, and this would be a major boost for the Navy. It's a shot in the arm for the Indian Navy, both for the air arm and for the subsurface fleet. Admiral Dinesh Tripathi, the chief of the naval staff, also said that there are 62 ships and 1 submarine that are currently under construction within the country, and this is a part of a major effort to boost India's naval power. Now, to be a major force in this Indian Ocean region, India clearly has a lot more to do, but a lot is being done. Let's listen in to Admiral Tripathi speaking to journalists ahead of Navy Day on the 4th of December.
Rafale M is a very advanced stage of acquisition process. इसमें final level पे है, I would say, and it is just one level short of taking it to the CCS for clearance, and thereafter followed by contract signing. See, it is a government-to-government deal, so I expect it to happen fast.
Joining me now on India First is my colleague Shiv Arur, and Shiv's been tracking developments on the story very closely and for quite some time. Shiv, the Indian Air Force procured 36 Rafales for the IAF. The Navy now looking to buy 26 more of these Rafale Marines. Is Rafale likely to be, or is it the top contender even for the 114 plus fighter jets that India seeks to for the Indian Air Force as part of its Make in India project?
Gaurav, the Navy Chief's confirmation that the deal for 26 naval Rafales for the Indian Navy's aircraft carriers to be signed within the next 2 months is hugely significant, because he is the Navy Chief after all, and he knows that this deal is extremely important. The Indian Navy has for a very long time been searching for next generation advanced carrier-based fighters. The MiG-29Ks that had been procured many years ago, they do the job, but the Indian Navy needs more future-ready fleets for its aircraft carriers, and that's where the Rafales will actually come in. There's a larger debate going on over whether India should be importing so many fighters, but given the immediate requirement, the Indian Navy didn't really have very much elbow room. It's a very, very big deal. It's a huge win for France, because remember, after the first deal for 36 Rafales with the Indian Air Force came politics over a so-called Rafale scam that the Congress had propagated in a very big way during the 2019 election campaign. That pretty much fell flat, but there had been some anxiety for the Indian Navy, the Indian Air Force, and for France, that maybe Rafale would be untouchable in India, very much like the Bofors became after the Bofors scam, except that in this particular case there was no apparent scam to speak of, certainly no evidence of any wrongdoing, and for the government to now pursue a second deal with Dassault to supply Rafale fighters, which was at the centerpiece of a big political slugfest, sends out a very big political message as well, I think, that the Modi government has decided it will prioritize the requirements of the armed forces and will, let the bygones of political controversies simply wash away. So the Indian Navy is going to be extremely happy that things are moving forward so swiftly, very unlike the way defense procurement works in this country.
And in that wake of the Bofors scam in the 1987 and the years later, modernization of Indian artillery was adversely impacted. We saw it during the Kargil War of 1999. At least the same, hopefully, will not happen either to the Indian Air Force or the Indian Navy, that modernization drive not getting impacted. But 3 additional Scorpenes for the subsurface fleet for the Indian Navy, for sea denial capability, especially with these expansionist forces, Shiv, lurking in our waters. The submarine deal clearly better late than never.
in my view, the Navy chief confirming that a deal for 3 additional India-built Scorpene submarines is of even greater significance, Gaurav, because as you know, we've reported this consistently, the Indian Navy's submarine force levels have been a matter of concern for a very long time. This decade is referred to by some experts as the lost decade because of the fraction of the number of submarines being inducted into service compared to the number that actually should be inducted at this point of time. The number of submarines in the Indian Navy at this point is a bare, embarrassing fraction of the numbers we should have in order to execute submarine operations in the Bay of Bengal, in the Indian Ocean, in the Arabian Sea, in other parts of the of the world. It's very, very difficult, and we're talking about conventional submarines here. The Indian Navy chief also talked about the nuclear-powered attack submarine program, which we'd broken first here on India today. He talked about a 2035, 2036 time frame for delivery, but the immediate clearance that's coming up in the next 2 months for 3 additional Scorpene submarines is very good, because it stands to reason 6 Scorpene submarines have completed construction. That production line would have gone to waste if a decision hadn't been taken quickly, and clearly the government saw sense in using that production line to churn out at least 2 or 3 more submarines. 3 is the number that has been confirmed, and therefore the Indian Navy gets to at least breathe a sigh of relief that a submarine production line that had been put together at great cost and effort is not going to simply evaporate like the last time it happened with the Germans. So some good news for the submarine arm, and very, very welcome considering the huge demand that is going to be placed on them for operations going forward.
Shiv, keep tracking that story. I will come back to you for more. Modernization is very important, because the stronger you are, lesser are the chances of any expansionist force or terrorist forces in India's neighborhood messing around with you. So Israel now has a ceasefire in place with Lebanon on the northern borders. It's focusing on Hamas on the southern borders. And of course, there's conversation about what next for Iran, as the stage is now set for Donald Trump to be in White House from the 20th of January 2025. At the same time, India-Israel relationship, that's also set to be taken to the next level. And with me here in India today is Neer Barkat, the Minister for Economy and Industries. Minister, welcome on India Today.
Shalom, Gaurav.
Shalom. What brings you to India? How are India-Israel relationship being taken forward now?
Well, I was invited by Piyush, the Minister of Economy, to be part of a conference that started today. And it's my second trip here to promote doing more business between Israel and India. And I'm very optimistic. I think what India is going through, the growth, the scale, and Israel with its innovation, there's lots of room for really strong win-win relationships.
A win-win relationship between India and Israel. We've seen it in the field of security, but defense, security, technology, armament, you're now taking it to a different level and beyond this, whether it's cyber security, that's one area where you have brought about a lot of change, not just as the former mayor of Jerusalem, but that's your area of expertise.
Well, Gaurav, if you look at where we excel in Israel, it has a lot to do with tech. Agro-tech, food tech, desert tech, health tech, security, classic high-tech, of course, business to business, business to consumer. And what we find is the scope, the scale of almost 1.5 billion people here in India is a great, not just a destination for sales, but collaboration and relationships. Israelis are good. We're very tiny. We're less than 10 million people. And we rely on local partnerships to create more win-win, to guide our companies how to do business here. And even where we're beyond, what I found this trip is that the Indian companies are not just looking at India. They've become really strong globally. So it makes that collaboration even way over and beyond much, much more attractive. And I'm very happy to tell you that I see more and more collaboration between the two countries, the businesses between the two countries.
So what are key areas where you're focusing on? Because I know farmers from Nagpur and in fact across Maharashtra, farmers from Maharashtra travel to Israel to know more about desert farming, and that's something that they've benefited from immensely. I've seen desert farming myself in the Negev desert, of course while covering the counter-terror operations in the southern part of your country. But is that one of your key focus areas?
Certainly. We've created a new field called desert tech.
Desert tech.
Technologies improve quality of life in deserts. How to create more productive food, shortage of water. How do you manage water, create water, distill water, and energy, and quality of life. How do you live in a desert? These are actually, because our southern part of our country, in the Negev, is one of the most advanced deserts in the world.
Yes.
Lots of innovation in that field. So I know that the Indian government is really interested in this. Plus agriculture and security. I think that after this round of violence in our region, after this war, everyone's saying, hey, what does Israel have? We want it. Yeah. And we share that with our friends. And India is certainly one of the friends we share. Better security, better technology. You know, I always say that Israel has really good government-to-government relationships between Modi and Netanyahu, and between the two governments. We have really good people-to-people relationship. Israelis love to come to India and vice versa. And that's why it's a classic infrastructure to have more better business-to-business relationships. Yeah. The people-to-people and government-to-government form better business-to-business.
But is Israeli technology affordable? Because many in India say that while there's scale, if technology is very expensive, then it doesn't become that much affordable for farmers here, for example, if it's desert tech, right, or even if it's cybersecurity.
Well, that's the challenge. I think the challenge we have is to make it attractive for people here in India. We have to compete here, and we have to play by the rules, what's accepted here. And that's why that partnership between Indian business people that understand how to market, how to sell, leverage the technology in a way that is scalable for 1.5 billion people here. And by the way, when we're successful in India, automatically you become successful in Africa, in Asian, and other places around the world.
So global south. If it works in India, it works for the global south.
Even beyond that. Even beyond that, yes.
Even beyond that. Security plays a significant part, and you've been a paratrooper in your earlier avatar, and
Indeed.
you were a part of operations in Lebanon.
Indeed.
What's the situation on ground there? Because is the ceasefire holding? Are people, more than 60,000 who are displaced, are they able to return home?
Well, unfortunately, Lebanon is hostage to Hezbollah. Yeah. And Hezbollah is a proxy of Iran. And it's very unfortunate, because I remember when I was a young paratrooper in the first Lebanese war, I remember the beauty of Beirut.
Oh, yes.
And the opportunity. People said that Beirut is the Paris of the Middle East, right? And unfortunately, since Hezbollah took over, and their goal and their charter is to be the proxy of Iran to attack Israel, and they did that. October 8th, immediately the day after the attack in the south from Hamas, they challenged Israel with rockets. Over 25,000 rockets were launched from Lebanon to Israel. And what they did is they planned an attack similar to October 7th in the south. They planned to invade Israel, to get into our cities and towns, and to do exactly what, unfortunately, the Hamas did. Rape, kill, take hostages. They're vicious jihadi people, terrorists, that was their goal and plan. And so what Israel needed to do is immediately evacuate over 60,000 people from the border. It's a huge number. They're still away from their homes. And slowly but gradually, and after a while, we came in to dismantle that infrastructure that they planned to invade Israel. And so the Israeli defense forces entered Lebanon to further the terrorists away, to eliminate the threat of an invasion and eliminate the threat of anti-tank or missiles that are short range, up to 10 kilometers from our cities and towns, so that we can return the 60,000 people that are displaced over a year.
Is there a timeline, and is Israel's attempt to create a buffer zone, a no man's land or a no Hezbollah land in Lebanon?
Well, it depends on Lebanon and what they do, because if we see a threat, we will eliminate it. And we've demonstrated that. We dismantled the threat of an invasion. We've furthered them from the border so that our people could come back home. We still have a challenge with the rockets. They have still a significant amount of rockets. And if and when we feel that they're trying to continue and threaten and target Israel, they'll pay a heavy price. And it depends on the world. And I challenge the world to go in and help the Lebanese people free themselves from Hezbollah. And hopefully in the future collaborate with Israel like other moderate Arab states did. So the challenge today, it's up to them to decide. If they try to tackle Israel, they'll pay a heavy price like they did now. And we are committed to do what every other country in the world will do. Make sure their citizens and residents can go back home after the attack we've received.
Who is Israel's enemy number one today?
Well, you have an evil axis, starting with Iran. And
so Iran, you say, is enemy number one?
Certainly, because their goal, their charter, with their proxies, they're jihadists. They believe in Sharia law. They want to target Israel, and what Iran, because they're far away from Israel, they use the proxy strategy. So they have Hezbollah in the north, Hamas in Gaza, the Houthis. The whole approach is an Iranian approach. And of course, I want to remind everyone that Israel was targeted directly by Iran with over 200 ballistic missiles, the biggest ballistic attack ever on a country like Israel. Now, we have great defense, but we also have good offensive tools, as demonstrated in Lebanon. You remember just a few months ago,
yes,
where all of a sudden all the beepers blew up. And so we know our stuff. Now,
so
Iran...
You did the beepers? Israel did the beepers?
Somebody did. Now, Iran is the biggest threat. They want to create a nuclear bomb in order to use it and eliminate Israel off the map. They want a second Holocaust, like what happened to us in Nazi Germany. Israel's committed to make sure they will never have a nuclear capability. We have to make sure that the proxies are gone. We have to eliminate the proxies and make sure that that jihadi Iran and Qatar, by the way. Qatar is a big funder of terror around the world, the biggest funder of terror around the world. So that jihadi axis has to be beaten and make sure that it will never target Israel again. And by the way, it's not just Israel.
Yeah.
The moderate Arab states are threatened by the jihadi Shiite groups. Europe and other places around the world. It's not just our war. Iran says Israel is a little Satan. And you know who the big Satan is? The U.S. And everyone else is somewhere in that line in the middle.
So what happens when Donald Trump comes to White House? How does Israel's war on what you call is your jihadi terror, how does that war change?
Well, you know, Israel has good relationship with both administrations, both with the Democrats and Republicans. We have to stay bipartisan. The approach of the current administration was to restrain Israel. And I believe that Trump is supportive. We believe the right attitude in the Middle East, or the Western Asian part, is to be bad with the bad guys and good with the good guys. And distinct between who wants to fight with you, fight him and make sure you win, and who wants to collaborate with you and expand collaboration. And Israel has demonstrated that we're a peace-seeking country.
Who are the bad guys and who are the good guys?
The evil alliance, the jihadi, Iran, Qatar, and the proxies are the evil alliance that are trying to destabilize the whole Western Asian part of the world. We want to collaborate. We want to expand the Abraham Accords. And by the way, October 7th was timed because Iran realized that Israel's collaborating with the with Saudi Arabia and other moderate Arab states to expand the Abraham Accords. The Abraham Accords, very successful peace process that Israel entered a few years ago after 25 years of peace with Jordan,
Yes.
and 40 years of peace with Egypt. We've demonstrated, if it's up to us, we want to collaborate and expand the peace process. However, if you attack us, we know how to fight and win the war.
So am I to understand what you're saying is Iran's the bad guy, Saudi Arabia is the good guy? Am I to understand that?
You're certainly right. And there's lots of other countries that are waiting to see the Saudi Arabia join the Abraham Accords. We have Indonesia and other major Arab countries that we would love to see expand the peace.
How does IMEC, are you also talking IMEC, the India, Middle East, Europe Economic Corridor, the Haifa port, the access to Europe and then the US, is that also a part of your conversation here?
Certainly, you just mentioned it. It goes through Israel. And we're already planning both ports on Bet She'an, which is to the Jordanian part, and Haifa to the European part, and everything in the way. We, of course, we'd love to collaborate. Israel, look at what we do. We export health, agriculture, security. We export and we solve problems of the world. We're part of the world. We want to see a better world. Okay, what does the jihadi export? Terror, terror, terror. That's what they export. Iran and its proxies. So I think that we've collaborated, and I have to say one more thing about India. India, the relationship we have with India creates huge opportunities. You know, I was in business before.
Yeah.
I was mayor. I'm a high-tech entrepreneur. And I see how India is fast, not just growing domestically, but it's creating influence around the world. You see more and more Indian companies become a major player in the global marketplace, which gives Israeli companies a really good edge. It's not just the local market, which is bigger than Africa, you know, triple the amount of people than all of Europe put together.
Yeah.
But the fact that you've become a major hub, a major player in the global market gives you an opportunity to do things you did not do in the past. And I think from the Israeli part, we must expand the collaboration, focus on a potential free trade agreement for the benefit of people that do business together. Because it's not just for Israel, it's not just for India. The collaboration will help us both scale very fast.
Now, when you talk about taking this relationship forward, does India have a role in, if you're looking at rehabilitation, are you looking at a rehabilitation roadmap or not as yet, because the problem remains unresolved with the adversaries with Hamas? People are asking, will there also be a ceasefire with Hamas like one in Hezbollah, with Hezbollah?
You know, we all wish to have good neighbors. Unfortunately, Hamas, still, the charter of Hamas is to destroy the state of Israel. They do not recognize us. They believe in jihad. They train their children to kill all Jews. They pay, and this is the Palestinian Authority as well, they pay $1 million for somebody that kills an Israeli and sits in jail for 25 years and over. So they have to de-radicalize their education system. They have to recognize the state of Israel for us to do any kind of business with them. Otherwise, if you try to rehabilitate Hamas, you know what they're going to do with the money? They're going to build more tunnels. We would like to see them build Dubai. And so if we have to decide what we want our neighbors to look like, Gaza, or Dubai, we would like to see Dubai. But Dubai has a peace agreement with Israel, and we collaborate with them, and they de-radicalize their education system. And we feel very secure and safe to do business in Dubai and Abu Dhabi. I was there a few times as minister. And this is the kind of peace we want. We've demonstrated what we want. We know that as peace-seeking country, we know what we want. And unfortunately, until Hamas understands, or whoever replaces Hamas, recognizes the state of Israel and de-radicalize their education system, it's going to be challenging for them. So any part of Judea and Samaria, any city, any part of, it's very tribal based in Israel, the way that the Palestinians live. Any of them that will recognize Israel will enjoy huge amount of carrots and rehabilitation. So if they fight with us, we will win.
So that's the carrot and stick. So in case Judea and Samaria, or as some call it, the West Bank. So in case Judea and Samaria recognizes Israel or does good business with Israel, they will modernize. Hamas or whoever runs the Gaza Strip will have to do the same.
You got it.
Or your operations continue.
You got it. And that's what you would do. Because if they continue to say they're going to kill you, rape you, take your children hostages, if you continue to say that, we're not going to let them rebuild their ability to kill us again. It's rational thinking.
Is there an end game in mind when it comes to Gaza?
It depends on them. Again, today the Lebanese have to decide what they want to do. If they want to become free of Hezbollah, the proxy of Iran, that really took Lebanon down the tubes in terms of economy and in terms of everything. If they free from Hamas and focus on expanding the Abraham Accords, then we'd love to see how they scale, and we'll find a way to collaborate with them. But if they continue to be conquered by Hamas, and if Hamas will continue by Hezbollah, and Hamas will continue to be dominating the Gaza Strip, it's going to be extremely challenging for the people, the poor people, the civilians that are suffering, to free themselves from Hamas and Hezbollah. They do that, then they have a better future.
So what about Iran? Would you look at a ceasefire even with Iran or with Donald Trump in the White House post 20 January 2025? Will you look to neutralize its nuclear assets?
Iran will never have nuclear power. We have to make sure of that because they're evil people. They want nuclear bomb in order to use it. That's what they're saying. They're jihadists. They've demonstrated shooting over 200 ballistic missiles aimed at Israelis. The fact that we have great defense is not good enough, okay? We're going to have really good offense and make sure that those evil people that want to destroy and kill Israel will not continue to do that. So I believe everyone understands that today. And I think the alliance formed today by the Americans and with Israel and others to fight evil and to free the whole Western Asian part from the fear of terror and war, it is a high priority for Israel and the world.
Sir, for joining me here on India Today, many thanks, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you very much.
In your meeting with the minister here and in the trade negotiations between India and Israel. Thank you very much.
For the benefit of both of us.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. The situation continues to be extremely grim in Bangladesh. The atrocities against Hindus continues. In the latest 63, at least 63 ISKCON priests, monks and workers were prevented from coming to India. This despite the fact that they had their passport, their valid visas, all travel documents. But the immigration authorities stopped them in Bangladesh. Why? They have no reason. It's just that they were told that the Professor Muhammad Yunus administration in Dhaka and the police did not want ISKCON members to leave the country. On Sunday, a woman journalist, a Hindu woman journalist was attacked. She was being accused of being an Indian stooge. And the attack was by a mob of radical Islamists. And it's this mob of radical Islamists that's ruling the streets across Bangladesh. Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee, she's urged Prime Minister Narendra Modi to approach the United Nations and said that peacekeeping forces need to be sent to Bangladesh. And in case Hindus want to return to India, Bengal will make arrangements. More in this report.
Bangladeshi Hindus face persecution under the Muhammad Yunus government. Days after Hindu priest Chinmoy Das was arrested, 63 Bangladeshi ISKCON monks were not allowed to cross to India despite possessing valid documents. The police had last week arrested 2 ISKCON priests who had visited Chinmoy Das in prison to hand over food and medicines. The police claimed that the 2 priests were arrested on November 29 in connection with some pending cases in which they were suspects.
अभी तक बांग्लादेश में 4 ब्रह्मचारियों को गिरफ्तार किया गया है। 2 दिन पहले जब चिन्मय कृष्णा प्रभु को दवा और प्रसाद लेके 2 ब्रह्मचारी गए थे, तो वो जब वापस आ रहे थे उनको पुलिस ने गिरफ्तार कर लिया और चिन्मय कृष्ण दास के जो सेक्रेटरी हैं उनको भी गिरफ्तार कर लिया गया है। और हमारे एक इस्कॉन सेंटर में भी एक कल तोड़फोड़ हुई।
A Hindu journalist was also attacked in capital Dhaka. The mob that targeted journalist Munni Shah accused her of being a raw agent. West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee has urged the government of India to take up the matter with the United Nations.
Government of India can take up the matter with the United Nations so that they can send the peacekeeping force in Bangladesh and they can get rid of people from Bangladesh.
Mamata vowed to accept Bangladeshi Hindus in West Bengal and give them all the necessities.
আমি ব্যক্তিগতভাবে মনে করি যে এটা তার জন্য খুব সঠিক পদক্ষেপ না রাজনৈতিক দৃষ্টিভঙ্গি থেকে।
The BJP accused the TMC of shedding crocodile tears for Bangladeshi Hindus.
দুর্গা মণ্ডপে ঢুকে যখন জিহাদিরা বলল শাক বাজাবেন না, উলুধ্বনি দেবেন না, ঢাক বাজাবেন না, কোথায় ছিল আপনার পুলিশ? গার্ডেন রিচে দুর্গা মণ্ডপে ঢুকে বলল গীতা পাঠ, চণ্ডী পাঠ, মন্ত্র উচ্চারণের মাইক বন্ধ করো, কোথায় ছিল আপনার পুলিশ? ওপারে ইউনুস যাহা, এবারে মমতা ব্যানার্জি তাহা।
Shiv Sena UBT MP Priyanka Chaturvedi wrote a letter to Prime Minister Narendra Modi urging him to hold the Yunus government accountable for targeted attacks on Hindus. The attacks on minority Hindu community in Bangladesh has invited condemnation from across the world. Meanwhile, over 50 protesters reportedly entered the premises of the Bangladeshi mission in Agartala. India's Ministry of External Affairs expressed regret and Bangladesh Foreign Ministry condemned the breach of the Bangladesh Assistant High Commission in Tripura. The ouster of Sheikh Hasina government and the unrest that followed have become a diplomatic challenge for New Delhi. Bureau Report, India Today.
We will continue to track developments in Bangladesh very closely, but that is all I have for you on this special broadcast. Many thanks for watching. News and updates continue on India Today. Stay with us.